As college football fans wait 9 months for the next season, it is time to look ahead to the NFL draft process. For many, the process began long before bowl season with early departures and injuries. For others, decisions must still be made whether to stay or go. Fresh off Clemson's national championship over Alabama, CBS Sports has takes on what it all means for the next NFL draft. From the first overall pick by Arizona all the way to the end of the first round, college football stars are about to cash in as NFL draft picks. Who will go where? CBS Sports makes its latest projections. As soon as Nick Bosa withdrew from Ohio State because of an injury, it was time to go all in on the NFL draft. Nothing about Bosa's injury creates long-term concerns. If he is able to show teams the same thing in workouts that college fans saw over the last 2.5 seasons, Bosa will easily be one of the top picks come April. CBS says, it's hard to pass on a talent like Bosa, who can take over games. There isn't an offensive lineman worth taking this high on. The Cardinals find themselves in full-on rebuild mode less than a year after hiring Steve Wilks and drafting Josh Rosen in the first round. In a league where so many players bail on their bowl games to protect their health and draft status, Josh Allen did the opposite. Just like when Allen went from Montclair, NJ, to Kentucky in recruiting, he has done things his own way. Fresh off 3 sacks against Penn State last week, Allen's stock is higher than ever. CBS says, is Josh Allen the best pass rusher in the draft? That will be decided in the coming weeks and months, but none did more for their draft stock than Allen, who returned to Kentucky for his senior season and went off. Brian Burns was an impressive part of a team that created more questions than answers in Willie Taggart's first season. He leaves Florida State after 15.5 TFLs and 10 sacks this season. That's good for second behind Clelin Ferrell in 2 fewer games. CBS says, Burns is a long, lean, explosive pass rusher. At 235 to 240 pounds, the concern is whether he's strong enough to play the position at the next level, but Burns isn't just a speed rusher, he's also strong, and has the frame to get stronger. From an unknown, outside of the SEC, to perhaps the most discussed defensive lineman in a loaded NFL draft class, Quinnen Williams made his 2018 season count. 4th overall would be the best spot for an Alabama prospect since Amari Cooper also went to Oakland. CBS says, Williams might be the second best player in this draft, which is why the Raiders are taking him here even though defensive tackle isn't an immediate need. Williams has been one of the most dominant players in college football, and this is after sitting behind Deron Payne, a Redskins first-rounder last spring, in 2017. Even before Justin Herbert announced his return to college football, Dwayne Haskins was in the conversation to be the first quarterback off the board. It now appears close to a lock, with Mel Kiper even saying Tuesday morning that Haskins could go first overall. CBS says the Jaguars get their franchise quarterback, which officially ends the Blake Bortles era in Jacksonville. The only question becomes how long before Haskins, who finally declared for the draft, assumes the starting job full-time. Alabama left tackle Jonah Williams. Jonah Williams won some and lost some against Clelin Ferrell on Monday night, but there is no doubt about him as one of the top pass protectors in college football this season. The Giants need more of that. CBS says the Giants desperately need a quarterback, but perhaps Jonah Williams will be for them what 2018 6th overall pick Quentin Nelson has been for the Colts this season. Greedy Williams backed up his breakout 2017 season, with a star role in LSU's rise back into the top 10 this season. CBS says, Williams may not be the most polished cornerback in this draft class, but he is insanely athletic and has all the tools to become a great player. On a unit lacking playmakers in the secondary, Williams may be worth the gamble this early in the draft. Most of Florida's top talent decided to return to school for one more ride under Don Mullen. Who can blame them after year one went so well under the new ball coach in Gainesville? Polite is ready to move on, however, and will be one of the first pass rushers off the board. CBS says, Polite had 11 sacks in 13 games for the Gators. He has an explosive first step and off-the-chart physical abilities, and his knack for getting in the backfield was unrivaled at times this fall. Ole Miss WRDK. Metcalf. The Ole Miss NWO got tons of attention before injuries and better defenses slowed things down for the offense. Metcalf should bring the same swagger to the NFL. CBS says, it's hard to pass on the best wide receiver in the draft when it was one of the Bills' biggest liabilities in 2018. Zay Jones led the team with 52 receptions last season. LaShawn McCoy was second, 34. Metcalf would be a game-changer for this offense. Drew Lock bet on himself and his team, with a decision to return to school for his senior year. He leaves Mizzou with 12,193 passing yards and 99 touchdowns. CBS says, we know General Manager John Elway would love to upgrade the position. There's a reason he was closely watching Justin Herbert this season, and now that he's returned to Oregon, Elway could turn his attention to other draft-eligible passers. Locke has the best arm of the group, and he reminds us of Jay Cutler, both the good and the bad. Denver draft Locke 13 years after taking Cutler 11th overall. Devin White ended his LSU career with 123 tackles and 12 TFLs, and brought his A-game against UCF in a bowl game he could have easily chosen to sit out. He will be one of the most coveted linebackers come draft time. CBS says, White is one of the most dynamic players in the draft. He's a sideline-to-sideline thumper who would immediately solidify the middle of the defense, making life easier for both the front four and the secondary. Alabama's Deontay Thompson. Rangy and explosive, Thompson is a big play package and could figure to be the next big thing that comes out of Nick Saban's typically good secondary for the future. He finishes the year with 78 tackles and 2 picks in his first season as a starter. CBS says the Packers traded away Clinton Dix, and 35-year-old cornerback Tramon Williams played free safety for Green Bay. Thompson's the best safety in this class, and it isn't close, and he'll fit in nicely with a young athletic secondary. Toughness defined the junior season of Daniel Jones in Durham. The Duke star quarterback played through pain and, via early departure, heads into the NFL with 8,201 yards and 52 touchdowns in his 3-year college career. CBS says the Dolphins are looking for a new head coach because the last one, who was hired specifically to mold Ryan Tannehill into a franchise quarterback, couldn't do it. So it's back to the drawing board, and Jones, who played for David Cutcliffe at Duke, could find his way into the first round as we make our way through draft season. Ed Oliver fell short of preseason expectations in Houston. But with hype of potential Heisman Trophy votes, those expectations may have been too high anyway. Oliver declared for the draft before his junior year even began, but needs a stellar offseason to catch up to top D-line prospects like Bosa and Williams. CBS says Grady Jarrett was a beast this season, but he could use some help along the defensive line. Plus, it's hard to pass on Oliver, a top 5 talent, should he still be available in the middle of the first round. Kelvin Harmon went from a strong wide receiver prospect from Palmyra, NJ, to a downright superstar in his 3 years at NC State. Thanks to back-to-back 1,000-yard receiving seasons with the Wolfpack, Harmon will be one of the first receivers to hear his name called in the NFL draft. CBS says the team obviously needs to sort out its quarterback situation, but Harmon put up eye-popping numbers during his junior season at NC State, and he'd be a welcome addition in Washington, where the leading receiver was tight end Jordan Reed. Byron Murphy 16. Carolina Panthers, Chris Lindstrom, Boston College. The 6'4", 305-pound offensive lineman is a 4-year starter for Steve Adazio. 17. Cleveland Browns, DB Byron Murphy, Washington. Murphy declared early for the NFL after 78 tackles and 6 picks in 20 career games. 18. Minnesota Vikings, OT Cody Ford, Oklahoma. Ford was a dominant right tackle presence for Kyler Murray this season after playing left guard for Baker Mayfield in 2017. 19. Tennessee Titans, W.R. Ridley, Georgia. The next Ridley was a weapon for Georgia's passing game with 69 career catches for 1,015 yards and 13 touchdowns over 28 games. 20. Pittsburgh Steelers, DB Amani Oruwariye, Penn State. Oruwariye had his best season as a senior at Penn State with 11 pass breakups, 3 picks and nearly doubling his career high with 50 tackles. DeAndre Baker, 21. Seattle Seahawks, DB DeAndre Baker, Georgia. Sitting out Georgia's bowl loss to Texas, Baker turned his focus to the NFL following 7 picks and 116 career tackles in 36 games. 22. Baltimore Ravens, OT Dalton Risner, Kansas State. The former K-State All-American big man heads to the NFL after 4 years as a starter. 23. Houston Texans, OT Yandi Kahuste, West Virginia. The 6'5", 300-pounder will be an interesting prospect come NFL Combine time after developing as the No. 916 overall prospect in the 247 Sports Composite rankings his senior year from Hollywood, Florida, Miramar. 24. Oakland Raiders, Edge Montez Sweat, Mississippi State. The Michigan State transfer killed it this year for Mississippi State with 14.5 TFLs and 12 sacks in probably the toughest division in college football. 25. Philadelphia Eagles, RB Josh Jacobs, Alabama. Jacobs has 2,062 yards from scrimmage and 21 career touchdowns. He was one of Alabama's best pieces Monday night with 13 all-purpose touches and 93 yards. A.J. Brown, 26. Indianapolis Colts, W.R.A.J. Brown, Ole Miss. A.J. Brown heads into the NFL after 85 catches, 1,320 yards and 5 touchdowns this season. Catches and yards both led the SEC. 27. Oakland Raiders, W.R. Marquise, Hollywood Brown, Oklahoma. Hollywood Brown ends his Oklahoma career early with an NFL declaration. He finished the year banged up against Alabama but was 8th nationally in receiving. 28. Los Angeles Chargers, D.T. Jeffrey Simmons, Mississippi State. The other star of the talented Mississippi State defensive line, Simmons had 18 TFLs and 63 tackles. 29. New England Patriots, D.L. Rashawn Gary, Michigan. Rashawn Gary was the 247 Sports Composite #1 overall recruit 3 years ago. After leaving Michigan to focus on the NFL before his bowl game, the former No. 1 prospect should be a first-round pick somewhere. Mack Wilson, 30. Los Angeles Rams, Declellan Ferrell, Clemson. Ferrell stated his case as the best college defensive end in the country with his performance against Alabama. Ferrell ends the season with 20 TFLs and 11.5 sacks. Against Alabama, he has 9 tackles, 3.5 TFLs and a sack in 3 appearances. 31. Kansas City Chiefs, LB Mack Wilson, Alabama. Wilson recorded 105 tackles, 6 picks and 7 sacks in his 2 seasons as an Alabama playmaker. 32. Green Bay Packers, W.R. N'Keal Harry, Arizona State. The Pac-12 had no answer for N'Keal Harry, who caught 73 balls for 1,088 yards and 9 touchdowns under Herm Edwards.